Hi everybody, my name is Jennifer Gibson. I'm the Director Curator of Gallery 1CO3, which is the campus art gallery of the University of Winnipeg. Welcome today to this afternoon's conversation with artists Barb Hunt and Lucas Morneau. I would like to begin with a land acknowledgement. So I'd like to acknowledge that the University of Winnipeg is located on Treaty 1 territory and the national homeland of the Red River Métis in Winnipeg, Manitowoc. We acknowledge that these are the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabe, Inenawak, Nehethawak, Osete, Sakowin, Dakota Oyete, and Michif peoples. This territory is also a place of significance for the Denisoulane and the Inuit, some of whom have been living here for many generations. We acknowledge that our water is sourced from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation at great expense to the peoples there, actually. And we acknowledge that most of our hydroelectricity comes from Treaty 5 territory, and again, at great expense to people who are living there, both, the human and other than human beings. So through this land acknowledgement, we recognize our connection and our commitment to working with Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island. And for myself, as Director Curator of Gallery 1CO3, I am committed to continuous learning from the injustices of settler colonialism and to moving forward in a good way. So today's event is programmed in conjunction with Lucas's exhibition, Queer Newfoundland Hockey League, which opened today in the gallery and will continue on display until January 28th. We hope that you'll join us later today. There's going to be an exhibition launch, a reception. It's a come and go reception between 4 and 6 p.m. down at the gallery. So we're thrilled that Lucas can be here with us here in Winnipeg today. Their first trip to the city, to Treaty 1 territory, well, more than just passing through, let's say. More than for just, a few hours. So big welcome, Lucas. And we're especially pleased that Lucas is joined today by Barb Hunt, who is a feminist artist known and loved by many in Winnipeg's visual arts community. So today's talk is coordinated with Dr. Roewan Crowe's Feminist Cultural Productions class. And I want to take a moment to thank Roewan, the Greenhouse Art Lab, and the Department of Women's and Gender Studies at the University of Winnipeg for their support in making this event possible. Before we continue, just a couple of announcements. Today's discussion is indeed being recorded, as you might have noted, though the focus is going to be obviously on the presenters. The audience won't be recorded at all. So thanks to the Media Services Department for the recording. We do anticipate publishing the recording to Gallery 1CO3's YouTube playlist in about a week's time. So note there is a gender-inclusive washroom in the back corner of the room, and then some additional washrooms just on down this way, and another one down that way, just outside the room. So for the format today, we will next move on to a few words by Dr. Roewan Crowe. Then after that, Lucas and Barb will present brief artist talks. Following their talks, they'll join in conversation to share stories about where their work has come from, where it is now, and what the future holds. And then they'll be considering also what it means to be learning together through the arts and community. Finally, we'll wrap up with time for questions from the audience. So, what better way to continue than by introducing Dr. Roewan Crowe. So Dr. Roewan Crowe is a multidisciplinary artist. She is Associate Professor of Women's and Gender Studies here at the University of Winnipeg. Roewan is energized by acts of disruption, radical transformation, and the tactical deployment of self-reflexivity. Born under the big skies of Saskatchewan and raised in Scofflaw, Alberta, Crowe came to the prairies to deepen her engagements with art and feminism, and to do graduate studies at the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education at the University of Toronto. A return to the flatlands inspired art and writing centered on queer feminist reclamation practices to ask questions about the land, about whiteness, and about queer settler identities. Through performance, installation, video, text, and theory, Roewan conjures intimate, multi-species, multi-sensory worlds, creating space for transformation, connection, and queer encounters. Their work engages with queer, trans, feminist ecologies, embodiment, site specificity, collaboration, and collectivity. Dr. Crowe's most recent endeavor is the Greenhouse Art Lab at the University of Winnipeg, and it's been a pleasure and a privilege to partner with Roewan many times through the Greenhouse Art Lab over the years, yes. So the Art Lab is a reimagined greenhouse on campus. It functions as an art studio, a learning lab, and a growing space. At the Art Lab, they host workshops, readings, residencies, events, and it is here that Dr. Crowe tends to dreams and artistic visions, to plant beings to more than human life, nourishing feminist and queer entanglements and multi-species connections. So please join me in welcoming Roewan to the podium.
Thanks, Barb. After a while, your bio starts getting long, the things. It is such a pleasure to be here today. And I want to say we are so fortunate, aren't we, to have a gallery on campus. And we must remember the vital importance of art galleries that are situated within educational institutions. Gallery 1C03 creates generative space for UW students, for faculty, for staff, and public to engage with contemporary art. Jennifer Gibson, the curator, and her team at Gallery 1C03 hold space for art in a neoliberal institution. Gallery 1C03 provides space for critical engaged pedagogy through exhibitions and workshops. Maintaining these reflective, artistic spaces takes constant and determined effort. And thank you for your enduring labors, Jennifer, and your commitment to art. We're joined here today and hosted by my third and fourth year Women's and Gender Studies Feminist Cultural Productions class. A few weeks ago, we were able to meet Bria Fernandez and discuss her paintings that were in Gallery 1C03. So Feminist Cultural Productions is a year-long interdisciplinary course where we explore a wide range of feminist cultural practices, such as performance, installation, painting, zine making, craft, and textiles. We live in a hyper-capitalist world that celebrates profit-driven ventures, regardless of cost to life and land. And in this class, we celebrate work that is not driven by profit, but rather a desire to communicate meaningfully through art about what is happening in the world around us. In class, we work to develop connections among artistic practices and feminist theories. We explore feminist art and look at the artists who create it. We listen to artists as they describe their own work. We're having a blast reading theory that describes and interprets these works, thinking deeply also about the power involved in interpretation. The first term is a deep dive into feminist art, and we're building our knowledge base. And we're looking at artists and artistic practice and theory. And we're looking at artists like Rebecca Belmore, Lorraine Grady, Martha Rosler, Daphne Ojig, Kara Walker, Kathleen Hanna, Bria Fernandez, Micheline Thomas, Lita Fontaine, Alison Mitchell, Marina Abramovic, Cecilia Vacuna. And some of these artists are artists that I have introduced the students to, but some of these artists are artists that the students are introducing to me as well. So next term, the great thing after having this term, the luxury of a full year course. So this first year, we're doing a deep dive, and then we'll be creating artistic work ourselves, remixing feminist artwork. And we're learning about feminist art by making feminist art. We've been studying artists who use craft as part of their work, and Lucas Morneau's work and the exhibit Queer Newfoundland Hockey League, Queer Newfoundland, QNHL, Queer Newfoundland Hockey League offers us an opportunity to think through queer resistance to restricting and prescriptive gender identity norms. Lucas Morneau understands these processes and tampers with identity constructions through craft and creation. They dive deep into the wreck of hyper-aggressive masculinity in sport culture, especially as it impacts queers in rural spaces. This Newfoundland-born maritimer faces off with homophobia, sexism, transphobia, and xenophobia in their work. With both hands, they clutch a queer hockey stick constructed with one of Lucas's foundational texts, Susan Sontag's Notes on Camp. Their hockey skates are crafted with love of both traditional and contemporary craft and laced up with performance art. The work engages in pure camp hilarity. Let me introduce Lucas and Barb. Lucas Morneau and Barb Hunt both use craft in their work. The first two became acquainted as teacher and student at Memorial University, Grenfell Campus in Newfoundland, more than a decade ago. For this event, Morneau and Hunt will present brief artist talks, followed by an engaging conversation to share stories about where their work has come from, where it's now, and what the future holds. It's such a privilege to talk with one another as practitioners. And it's a privilege for us, like with the class, this is an ideal setting. We get to go and see the work live. We get to look at the work, and then we get to meet the artists, and we get to hear them talk about the work. And this is a really rare pedagogical moment. Well, not that rare. I mean, I do have the privilege of going down to Gallery 1, CO3, but it's sweet to have the artists here as well. Lucas Morneau is an interdisciplinary artist and curator from Newfoundland, employing drag as a central tool in their practice. Morneau blends textiles, photography, video, and sculpture to queer Newfoundland Canadian cultural traditions, exploring gender, performativity, and challenging the dominance of heteronormative and patriarchal systems within Canada and Newfoundland. Morneau has shown their work throughout Canada and the US and the United Kingdom. Notable exhibits include Queer Newfoundland Hockey League and the Queer Mummer. Lucas's bio is extraordinarily full, and when I read full, he was like, shorten it, shorten it. And what that reveals to me is an artist who's deeply engaged in their practice. And they have been showing work across the country, nominated for awards, and seizing opportunity. And this show that's being shown right now at Queer Newfoundland Hockey League has been showing across the country for since 2021. Since 2021. Barb Hunt has a diploma in art from the University of Manitoba. Barb is coming home. Yes. And Barb has an MFA with specialization in fibers from Concordia University, and her work also has been exhibited internationally throughout the world. Many people will know Barb because Barb has been an artist who returns to Winnipeg time and time again to show their work and also to engage in workshops. So as Jennifer said, Lucas and Barb will each give a mini artist talk, and then we'll have some time for questions. Welcome, Lucas and Barb.
Is this a microphone or is it just for, yes, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, good, because I don't teach anymore and I've lost my teacher voice. While people were talking, I was looking at this slide of one of my classes where I'm teaching them how to knit. I taught 25 students at a time how to knit. It was crazy. And I just realized this is the classroom in the forestry building, and the reason the class is in the forestry building, I was hired to teach sculpture first year, and some of my women students were being, feminist moment, were being harassed. So we escaped, and I found a room in the forestry building where we could work. I had to change the program from sculpture to textiles and performance art, which was a lot of fun. So that's a little bit of background. See.
That's
Filter's
the class
gone.
before mine.
Yes. So you know
I know all the
Jen
people.
and
Yeah.
I do too. I just forget the names. Okay, let's see if this works. There we are. Who?
Oh, those are students that were the year ahead of me.
Yeah. No, I forget the name. I know Jennifer, but
Yeah.
I know them.
No.
No, I don't have a picture of Lucas as a student.
Good.
Okay, so back to the notes. This is my grandmother, Brocklebank, who was an O'Reilly with her sheep. My work comes from my rural heritage. My grandparents on both sides owned farms on the Haldimand Tract. 6 miles of land on either side of the entire Grand River called the Ouse that runs through southern Ontario, an immense piece of land. It was promised to the Haudenosaunee, the Six Nations, in a 1784 treaty. So that's the land you're looking at there. My grandmothers made quilts, and my Aunt Ruth was a weaver. She supported her habit by working as a scientist at Sick Kids. I learned textile skills that were essential for life on a farm. That's me at 17. But then I went to art school instead. This is the first thing that I made as an art student at the University of Manitoba in 1978. Our sculptures class's first project, where each student had to cover about 40 feet of Duff's Ditch, the floodway around Winnipeg. This work has everything I'm interested in: love, pink, textiles, and death. Death because it's made of the flannel sheets that belonged to my best friend's dead grandfather, which, of course, I dyed pink. The sheets, not the grandfather. My sculpture teacher made fun of any work I did with textiles. Do you want to know his name? Names? Names? Okay. Gordon Reeves, some people know who that is, once paraded this little piece around the studio yelling, "Isn't this pretty?" Which was the worst insult you could give to a student in those days. Now it's a compliment. Call my work pretty, I'll be happy. All my teachers were men, and I swore that I would never be a teacher. Ever. Oops.
Other one.
Oh, thank you. And I played on the fine arts hockey team, the Avant-Garde. Wayne, did you ever come to one of my games?
No.
Darn.
Unfortunately. Send me a video.
Oh, we didn't have video back then. We never scored a goal, but we had the most exciting hockey sticks. We painted them in striking, bright designs, hoping it would scare the other team. Okay, next. Years later, I did my MFA in fibers at Concordia University, and of course, right away started working with metal. Here are some of my steel dresses in the A-Dress show at the WAG in 1996. I was an angry young feminist then. Now I'm an angry old feminist. And even angrier. So this work was my exploration of the construction of gender, of femininity. And that center dress, the root dress, is in the collection of the WAG, so you might see it once in a while. Despite my promise to never teach, I discovered that I love teaching. I'm the bossy oldest child in my family, so that's probably why. Did you know that before? I am bossy, aren't I?
Oh, God. I knew you were going to do this.
I knew you were going to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a piece by one of my best students, Lucas Morneau. Tell me if I got this right. It's a critique of Prime Minister Harper's water so-called protection. Actually, it was the water destruction bill. Mm-hmm. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first knitting piece.
What?
My first knitted
First
piece.
piece, yes. And it's really long. This building is like 4 stories high, so it just goes all the way up. So that is a lot of knitting.
God, I have an idea what may be coming up next.
No, that's it.
Okay, thank God.
For now. I wore a pink shirt every day. You remember that?
Yeah.
And pink glasses. Because I was teaching in a very, very, very male-dominated program, and I wanted everyone to know that I was a woman, that I was not going to behave like an honorary woman, which happens sometimes in these big institutions. I want to give credit to my student Maddie Bennett, who did this really cool drawing of me, which I just love. Looks just like me 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Red hair and all.
Oh.
Oh, thank you.
Keep hitting the laser pointer.
I need a laser point. So I taught a little bit differently, I suppose. I did things like I fed my students. Do you remember tea and teacups?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movies.
Movies?
Yeah.
Did I show movies? Yeah. I forgot. And I took them on trips, lots of trips, like snowshoeing to Western Brook Pond for a weenie roast. And there's still a big burn mark on the wood deck of the tourist center there. I went there years later and there's this burn right there. That was my student's weenie roast. Don't tell anybody. Cut this part out.
Statute of limitations.
Yes, more than 7 years. That's Noriko Matsubara. Do you remember her? Was she around?
That was before me, I think.
Before you, yeah. We had a student from all the way from Japan. So, yeah, those were really fun times. I would take the students who couldn't go home for break. I'd take them up to Western Brook Pond in the bus. And we'd snowshoe in. It's like a few kilometers. The first time we did it, I'm starting to tell stories, I have to stop. But the first time we did it, I was just there. It was my first year there. I thought I'll take all the orphans, to Western Brook Pond. and so they're young, they're so much faster than me, and I come up, and then finally I come over this little hill, and there's my students right next to the, it's ice now, but, the pond, and they started a fire. And I had come from teaching at Western, and I thought, oh, shit, they've started a fire. What do I do? Like, do I call the police? Do I call the RCMP? They're starting a fire. This is like terrible. And then I got up closer and I realized they're Newfoundlanders. They started a fire to keep warm.
A boil up.
A boil up, yes. Like they know what to do. And then they said, hey, Barb, do you have any hot dogs? And I was like, no. So the next year I brought hot dogs, and then they said, do you have any ketchup? No. So the next year I brought, so by the time I stopped doing this, because they took the bus away, I don't think it was me, but anyway, so there we go. Okay. Next. I'm reliving the past here. And here's more pink. I became interested in death after my father died in 1998, bicycle accident, and that led to knitting a series of anti-personnel landmines. My color theory professor, his name is it's struck out, but I can say it, Bill Pura, at the University of Manitoba, told us to never use pink in our art. Yeah. So this is my sweet revenge. So I'm talking about my professor, and I'm sitting here with one of my students and thinking, what have I told him?
A lot.
That is like totally wrong. Probably a lot. This is Incarnate. The knitted landmines led to a series about the devastation of war using camouflage fabric. I embroidered around each shape with pink thread as a kind of protective magic for the soldier. I had one particular soldier in mind, and I won't tell that story right now, maybe later. Much later. Could we go back one? The red? Oh, I'm sorry, the apron isn't in here. Yeah. Anyway, I had an image of an embroidered apron, but you can go on my website to see it, or it might be in Gallery 1C03 someday because it's just been acquired by the University of Winnipeg. Thank you, Jennifer. So this is my last slide of what I'm doing now. For the last 13 years or so, I've been making large works initially inspired by the stunning natural beauty of Newfoundland. So I've gone from this kind of activist, angry work, kind of more mellow now, and doing work about nature. But I'm still angry, I'm still, yes. Always. But what I'm angry about these days, along with all the other social problems, is the fact that we're not doing very much about the environment. So I see this work as showing the beauty of the environment in my own way.
Mom,
Yes.
how big is it?
Oh, it's 4 feet across. Yeah. So it's almost life-size on the screen, I think.
Yeah.
And it's on, they're vintage buttons that I've been collecting since I was very young. Some of you know that I'm on the autistic spectrum. This is like my dream, is just doing the same thing over and over again. So these are mother of pearl buttons that come from the ocean, and it's about the moon up there and the ocean underneath. So So I have lots of these, and I hope to show them someday. They're on a background of velvet. So I'll keep making them. I'll keep making art as long as I'm here because it helps to keep me sane. Thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
before Lucas starts,
Oh, God.
I have a present for you.
Oh my God.
I didn't make it. I didn't make it. Sorry.
Ooh, t-shirt.
Show it to everybody.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
It's made by another Lucas, and his
Oh.
name is Lucas Starr. So there's his contact information.
Oh. Thank you so much, Barb.
He was showing his work at Mawa.
Oh.
So that's where I saw it.
Amazing. Thank you
And
so
I
much.
thought it has to be yours.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have an idea for an artwork I'm sending you, so
Ooh,
Yeah, I need to get your mailing address after this.
okay.
Okay, so we'll just wait up for my slides to load up there. How's it going, everyone? A little sip. Now that I'm fully embarrassed about my first year artworks, I get to talk about some stuff I did after that. So after I graduated from my BFA from Grenfell in 2016, I went on straight to do my master's at the University of Saskatchewan. I thought I have a bit of a voice already here. People kind of know me in Newfoundland. I need to go out west so I can establish roots out there. So that's one thing that drew me to that program. One thing I'll note is during my time in Grenfell, I never made work about Newfoundland. My mother was always pestering me about go paint a landscape or go photograph a landscape and do that. And so I never really had a desire to work about Newfoundland until I moved away. I was in a master's level feminist and women's and gender studies course taught by Joan Borsa. In fact, we talked about the anti-personnel landmines during that class. And I was at the time doing drag in the Saskatoon bar scenes and was knitting a costume for my drag character. And while I was knitting it, I sort of realized it looked a lot like a mummer, which is a person who's dressed up. There's this practice from Newfoundland called mummering, where it's almost a lot like Halloween. People will dress up in disguises with whatever they can find around their homes. Often, men will dress as women and women as men. And think disguises like it's other people's clothing. They're worn inside out, so bras on the outside. You'll have doilies or pillowcases or lampshades that cover your face, because the whole point is to be a stranger. You go to neighbors' homes, the neighbors let you in, and they have to guess who you are. So it's this form of folk drag, and it actually has direct roots from theater, so it actually is the direct roots from drag. So I was knitting this, noticed it looked like a bit like a mummer, and it sort of clicked this idea of the queer mummer. So essentially this is a mummer that blends aesthetics of drag as well as queer culture. The images here are from projects from after my master's program. This outfit was from a performance where I did a Richard Simmons-esque workout routine as a performance, and other people partook. There's also a video for it now that's styled like a Richard Simmons video with green screen and everything. This one is Bay Fae, which is sort of based around the fairy folklore of Newfoundland, which we were sort of talking a little bit about a few days ago when we went for lunch. And finally, here's another one. This is my traditional jester costume, where I went and did a puppet theater style thing with it at Strutt's Gallery, which is where I work now. Which, this was my art practice right before the pandemic, and then everything closes. As someone who was doing performance art, not really good. I had a few things get canceled. But at this time, I was getting a little tired of doing the performance stuff. This is very warm. It's not fun to dress up in. So I said, I need to work on something that's a little bit less performative and work on something that's a bit more on the wall, traditional art in some sense. And then the big thing that inspired my next project was the firing of Don Cherry. I used to watch a lot of hockey as a kid, and I loved Coach's Corner. And I think it was just because of the camp of Don Cherry. I would label Don Cherry as straight camp. Straight camp. And I was always fascinated in how he was able to kind of say really mean things about people and kind of get away with it, up until making comments about immigrants. So during that time, I started doing a lot of research into a lot of things he used to say, where he would make fun of European players for refusing to fight. He would call Ron McLean a pinko a lot. And so that idea stuck in my head. I ended up making I'll go back a second. I made a business card, which had a photo of this mummer on it, but I was holding a hockey stick because I was taking a photo in Meg Wells's installation at St. Michael's print shop. And so I made it into like a little hockey card, and it was like my new business card. And then I made a joke, oh, I should make a series of these. And that idea went into my brain, and I came up with this idea eventually. So this is Queer Newfoundland Hockey League, which is the exhibition downstairs. In total, there are 14 teams in this fantasy team, or fantasy league, and they're all towns from Newfoundland and Labrador, with pejoratives and slurs used against the queer community, and allies, we'll say, both on the ice and then in schoolyards and all that.
Is there a dildo one?
There is. This is the yellow one.
Oh.
You'll see it downstairs. I want to show this one first because it's one of the ones that's not in the show. I was very lucky that Global Affairs Canada purchased 3 of the jerseys, and this one's gone off to get framed. At first, I started off with towns that sort of meant something to me. So this is the Pasadena Pansies, which is where my grandparents lived. I had teams based off of other places where I lived, like Corner Brook, or places I had family members that lived, so Nain and Fogo Island. But also, eventually, I started to think, I need an actual league. It can't all be related about me. So I started looking at the funny towns in Newfoundland. Here's Nain Nancy's here, and Fogo Island Fag Hags. But, Newfoundland has a lot of, funny town names. And so dildo was, obviously had to be used. Come by chance is another one. I regret not choosing spread eagle. But it's just too close to dildo, and I'm being serious. It's too close to dildo. And then the Port Union Pinkos, which was inspired by Ron McLean and his, I guess, him being bullied by Don Cherry. And so I ended up creating 14 of these jerseys. They're all hand crocheted. The crocheting took somewhere between 1 week to a month to do. The fastest was dildo. That was during the 2020 US election. And I was just sitting down, crocheting the whole time. My body gave out with the rug hooking. I would do a session of rug hooking, and I would be basically bedridden for 2 weeks. So I was very lucky that during that time I was approached by a student at Mount Allison University. Halfway through this project, I moved from Newfoundland to Sackville, New Brunswick, and a university student approached me and said, hey, there's this internship opportunity. I could potentially be a studio assistant. I'm really interested in learning rug hooking. I said, perfect. I don't have to pay for this, and the university's going to pay, and I'm going to assist, and I can mentor them. It's great. So this was the first time in my life that I let someone else take over something, which was a really nice learning experience. I have a problem where I have to learn every material for my projects and do it myself, which has been great. I'm a jack of all mediums and a master of none, but
Master of all of them.
no, master of some maybe. But that was the fun thing with this was being able to work with someone else as well. And on top of that, I'm gonna tell a story about this one, but I asked Libby to join me in being part of the hockey cards, which will show up in a second. This team, a little hard to read from the text. I little regret the choice of logo for this one, but I was trying to go with a really old looking jersey. This is the Gayside Gaylords. I'll tell a story about this jersey. You can ask me more stories downstairs about other jerseys.
And Gayside is a real place.
It was a real place. So Gayside was a town in Newfoundland and Labrador that in 1986, I believe, voted to change its name to Baytona because they were the subject of homophobic jokes. And the mayor was quoted in saying, if you said you were from Gayside, people looked at you queer. And in Newfoundland, that still meant strange, but of course, yes. So obviously, I think the word name Baytona is a bit gayer to me. It's Baytona. So I had to include that within this.
Yeah.
I also created these goalie doilies, which were based off of old fiberglass hockey mask, not goalie mask, and specifically Jacques Plante's mask. So when Jacques Plante first wore his mask, everyone sort of challenged his masculinity and said, "Oh, you're not macho. Look at you protecting your face from the flying puck." And he was quoted in saying, like, you wouldn't jump from a plane without a parachute, so why would you go in net without that? So this whole exhibition sort of explored, a lot of people say toxic masculinity within sports, but when I was doing my research, I was doing more research into hegemonic masculinity, which is the idea that there exists multiple types of masculinity out there. And the one that, especially within sports culture, the hegemonic masculinity tends to favor violence and winning over everything and emotional restraint. And within that, you get homophobia. And so that was playing within this whole exhibition. And so looking at, the history of like Don Cherry as the host of Coach's Corner, but also how those words went from like the ice rinks and the locker rooms as jokes between each other sometimes, but then those would be used to bully people in schools. So that was like a big thing I was exploring. But this one here sort of explored how that masculinity existed even for decades and decades. And then I made hockey cards, and these were fun because at the time I had a big beard and I had a curly mustache, and I shaved the beard and started taking photos of these. It's a mixed gender league, all gender league. So you have people like Harry Cox from the Cox's Cove Queeros, Siobhan O'Connell from Fairyland Fairies, based off of Sinead O'Connor. Fun fact. And check the makeup of this one, and I'm gonna put the next slide. They were shot on the same day. I just changed the lipstick and the lower. And they're both Irish names. You got Roisin Fagan. And someone reached out to me, and they're like, "My name is Roisin Fagan."
Oh no.
Yeah, I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." And Gay Gaylor, who asks for smokes. And so, yeah, I had fun with all of these characters. And getting back into doing characters, I wanted to, like, my next project to do that. So I do have some images. They're sneak peeks into my next project. I like to say it's a blend of the sports stuff from the hockey stuff and, like, the drag stuff. And so I've been working with professional wrestling. I like to say, like, hockey is my mom's side of the family. My dad played hockey, but my mom's side, there was a lot of hockey players. I had a great uncle who was the first Newfoundlander drafted to a professional league. He passed away this year. His name was George Faulkner. And so hockey was my mom's side, and my newest project with professional wrestling is my dad's side. My father's dad, my grandfather, and my grandfather's two brothers were professional wrestlers in Quebec City in the 40s and 50s. And one of those brothers, his wrestling name, I kid you not, was Dick Marshall. And he was French, so he didn't know the pun. He went on to be the big promoter in Quebec City from the 60s into the 80s. And in his leagues that he was promoting for, he wasn't like the big owner, but he was part of Lutte Internationale, or International Wrestling, and Lutte Grand Prix, or Grand Prix Wrestling. So like in his league, they had like Jean Ferret, who's Andre the Giant, and all kinds of amazing people. So with my new project, I'm blending wrestling with drag, because wrestling is drag. It's straight camp as well. So I've been machine knitting wrestling costumes. The first two images I'm going to show you are just the costumes on mannequins. So my body's fully like given out from crochet and rug cooking, so I've switched to machine knitting. I've been teaching myself that. I have 3 knitting machines at this point. It's a problem. I have no space. It's really bad. But it's been really fun to do this as well. In this outfit here, the lace of the top is based off a type of stitch lace called faggoting. Yeah. This is the Paradise Poof. I worked on this one during a residency in Bay St. Paul. I had 3 weeks to do it, and I was losing my mind on the last day. This residency, essentially, 100 people come to your studio every day while you work, and you have to talk to them in French. You don't have to speak in French, but I'm bilingual, so I was. And so I wasn't getting my work done. And the last day I was sewing up the the briefs, and my friends would come by the studio and see if I was ready to show my work, because we were opening to the public at 12, and it was 11:50, and I was there. I was like, "Get away from me!" Gone like full like Gollum mode or something. And the next photo is me in an outfit. So this is Big Papa Bear. So the plan is I'm all the wrestlers. Of course, I'm all the wrestlers. I'm going to be basically getting in drag for each one of them. They'll be photographed, and I'm doing video promos. And I don't know if you watch wrestling. Video promos are where they promote an upcoming match and often shit talk another wrestler, the person they're facing. So I've been appropriating actual promos from the WWE and WCW because they often use homoerotic sexual innuendos. I think we have time. Can we play the video?
Yes,
Okay.
I want to see it.
Okay. It's going to be loud. Yeah. I'll let you put it back.
Oh, the people of Sackville, don't you look swell today? Oh boy. Hey, listen up! There's been a lot of sports bettors and sports writers flapping their yaps about me getting soft. Ah ha ha! Does this look soft to you? Does this look soft to you? And I tell you what, there's only one part of me that's soft, and it ain't soft all the time if you catch my meaning. Ron Johnstone. Rhinestone, Ron Johnstone. You're gonna find out what art is all about. Because by the time I get into the ring with you, Guppy, it's gonna be a hard night all night long. And you can forget about your limousines and your pretty girls and your diamond rings. Because they don't mean diddly-do squat when I get done with you. When I get done with you, the bathhouses will be closed for repairs. And I tell you what, Ronnie, there's only two places, I said two places, you can find me. The first is March 21st in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And the second is March 22nd in Moncton, New Brunswick. So if you're feeling froggy, Ronnie, just jump in. You and your boys will be looking for me, and I'll be waiting. And if you don't think I've been growing, my man, grab a hold of me, and you'll know I've been growing. Within your hands, I will get as big as I need to be to do the job on you. You want your 15 minutes of fame? Ronnie, come and get it.
So I'm thinking of changing careers to be a wrestler. For those who are wrestling fans, that's a combination of the Road Warriors and Jake the Snake Roberts, the two promos there. And of course, I spliced in like my own opponent's name and like Sackville, New Brunswick, and different towns like that. So, but yeah, that's what I'm working on. Thank you.
Fabulous. Wow.
Now it's question period.
I have questions for
I
you.
know, I saw those.
Got questions. But you know what? Okay.
Okay.
Which one do you want me to ask?
Oh no, you go. You decide.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quick fire questions, don't you?
Okay. Okay. Number 2. Starts off with you are drove. Tell them what drove is.
Get some feedback. You got me drove is like, well, you mean it like that, right? Like
Yeah.
you got me drove. Like, how do I describe it? Like you got me like feeling riled up or like gone crazy is like another way of saying it. Like you got me mad or yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean it that way. I meant it.
Oh, like you're driven, maybe.
Driven.
That's
Not riled
Newfoundlandese coming in, yeah.
Yeah, driven.
Yeah.
Driven.
I got you drove, Barb.
So you are driven.
Yes, yes.
You're amazing. Your work
Thank
is
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
So I'm wondering what motivates you, and I was thinking about how in craftivism that it's about love and anger. In my case, rage, and it's because there's something we really love. It's because there's something we really love, and we're really angry that the world things aren't the way they should be. So there's that anger, love. So tell me about the relationship in your work between love and anger, those kind of things, and how you balance that.
I think I'll talk about love first, and then I'll talk about anger. For me, love is the actual love of making and having fun while doing it. When I was in my BFA, and this is like deep cuts for everyone here, maybe you guys won't know, I was working mostly with photography, and after I finished like the third year photo class, I switched to doing like light art, like James Turrell style stuff. I had to, in Memorial University, they have a campus in the UK called the Harlow campus, and students who go to that campus can travel there and do a semester there. So I did 3 art history courses, and we saw a James Turrell piece, and I fell in love with it, and I ended up working a lot with that. And while I was having a bit of fun working with that stuff, which was like installation work and sculpture, it just wasn't that much fun to it. Like, it was fun learning the process, but I wasn't actually having fun. And the topics I was dealing with were around depression, and it was kind of like sad stuff. So I wanted to move off of that. And working with the mummer, I think that opened the door to me to having more fun with my work. Having like I used to do cosplay back in my like bachelor degree. So I remember there's one time I was sewing like a Robin costume, like Batman and Robin, and I was in the sculpture studio, and I was like, I wish I could like find a way to do this in my art practice, and I found a way. And so being able to have fun with my art practice, textiles really was like a breakthrough for that, and so that was really important for that part. When it comes to hate and anger, I guess anger or like frustration is a big one. The big reason I made the mummer work was because I had ordered a corset while I was doing drag in Saskatoon, and it shipped to my parents' place, and I wasn't out to them, and they didn't know I was doing drag. So I had to deal with that. And while like being gay was fine, like I had one family member who that wasn't okay for them, and so they were from Newfoundland, and I eventually, like, when I thought about that mummer connection, I was like, oh, I feel like this is some way that they can kind of understand what drag is, because what they thought drag was based off of stereotypes and a lot of homophobia and transphobia. So that was a big motivation for that. I think just, I guess, growing up with like the hockey kids being bullies, that motivated a bit of the hockey project. And the wrestling one is more about love. The wrestling one explores how historically, the exhibition name is going to be called Baby Faces and Heels, or one version of that. I think Faces and Heels. A baby face is like the good guy, and the heel is the bad guy in wrestling. And historically, for heels, they would obviously like try to make the audience upset to make people hate them. And there were many wrestlers who used homophobia as a gimmick. And so you'd have people dressing flamboyantly to get the audience riled up. There was one duo in the 60s and 70s, the Hollywood Blondes, who would come on stage dressed in sequins and fur and everything, and they would undress each other in the ring to rile up the audience. And they would have to have the police protect them because of how riled up the audience would get.
Wow.
So I'm looking at how historically this was in wrestling, but how wrestling has changed, where, with some exceptions, like politically with the WWE being so tied to the Trump administration, wrestling's become much more progressive. You see trans athletes competing. You see a lot of out athletes competing, and queer people aren't just the heels anymore. So that's the great thing. And there's also like fully queer wrestling leagues out there as well. So that project sort of is exploring this love that I had when I was a kid. Loved watching wrestling, and it just sort of died out from watching it. And when I started the project, my grandfather, who was a wrestler, passed away. So it's been a nice time to sort of reflect and to sort of research more about him, because him being francophone, like I speak French, but obviously there was always still like a little bit of a barrier when I was growing up. So it's a great way to like learn more about him. Yeah.
Did your grandfather and your uncle teach you how to wrestle?
No.
Do you want to learn how to wrestle?
My fears are, so my neck and shoulders are shot from my art practice. So if I go and try to wrestle, it will either make it worse, or maybe if I hit the mat right, because I'm like, my problem is I'm like this a lot.
Yeah.
If I hit it right, maybe it'll straighten me out, right? So maybe one match. Like I do want to do one match. And I would also love to ref a match, because my grandfather was also a referee. Yeah.
You'd be a great promoter too.
Probably, yeah. I could definitely be a promoter. That's like definitely in me there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I can't be, like, there's already artists who have started wrestling leagues. My league already has a name, it's Transatlantic Wrestling. Great pun. But it's not going to be a real league.
Yeah.
But my characters will get hurt, figuratively, in a performance. Yeah. I kind of want to spoil what that is, but not yet.
You have to bring that to Winnipeg.
Yeah, so if there's any curators out there who want to see
Where's the
faces and heels.
Wayne,
No.
Wayne. Okay. We're setting it up.
Okay.
Winnipeg style.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
I'll say the next thing I have to do after I finish the photos and videos, I'm doing action figures for the wrestlers. Yeah. I just bought an airbrush, so I airbrushed one of the costumes recently, but I bought the airbrush mostly for the action figures. So we got a 3D scanner at work, and I've been exploring that. You'll see downstairs the doilies are on new pink faces. They used to be on plaster faces, but now it's my face, and it's a 3D scan. Cool. Yeah.
We have one at the library if you want to stay longer.
Oh, and I should have said this in the beginning. I want to thank Arts and B for having me out here for a travel grant. Without them, I would still be coming, but I would be paying for it myself.
Yeah, so you can stay longer.
Yeah. I'm here till Sunday. Yeah.
We're going on an art tour on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every gallery. No, probably not everyone.
No, there's too many in Winnipeg. We have a
That's the
great
good
art
thing.
community here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great.
I will say I've been very enjoying my time. Had some great food. Had an amazing crepe this morning. Like, I'm gluten intolerant. So far, it's not been a problem to try to eat here. So it's been pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking bro nuts at the end of the day.
Bro nuts?
Bro nuts. I think, is it two brothers that own that place? And they do have a gluten-free mochi. I'm advertising now. Gluten-free mochi donut. So that's,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. You have any other questions?
Oh, lots.
I know. There's a whole list of there. I'm interested to see what you had to
Yeah.
ask.
Oh, I know. This is so exciting.
Oh.
Is this working?
I heard it, yeah.
Did you hear it? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
I also want to open it up to the audience
Yeah.
too
Yes.
for a few minutes.
Good idea.
So if there's anybody in the audience who has a question, please put your hand up and I'll bring the mic.
No difficult questions, please.
So your art has like a lot of performance elements kind of integrated to it with the photo cards and like the promo videos, which are really cool. Do you think your art like could exist without the performance elements? Like what in your opinion would be lost if it was just like the textiles?
it wouldn't be my art because that's the center part of the artwork. I've been working with self-portraiture since my BFA. My first year drawing class, second semester, with John Graham, who also was at University of Saskatchewan, funny enough, when I was there. Every drawing project, I made it a self-portrait somehow. Don't know why, but I was like, it was a little challenge. Yeah, and so it's all I do. I think the only reason why I started working with textiles is because I could put it on my body. And so it's, trying to take that away from the work, it's not, I guess it's not my work anymore. Or it doesn't feel like that anymore. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Yes.
I just wanted to say I love your work, and
Thank you.
I really also enjoyed the cards, the player cards, and the character work reminds me a lot of like Cindy Sherman, and then also Catherine Opie's Dyke Deck is like a really special art piece that like to me that I love, and it made me think of all those things. But in your conversation, I also really appreciated this idea of like bridging worlds. My family loves wrestling, and my mom's partner is from the East Coast, and he's like a military guy, loves hockey, and sometimes I just feel like we live on different planets. And I was curious to know if you've had any like kind of difficult feedback in showing the work, or even I was thinking about like curatorially presenting this work at the university, which is like a very heteronormative institution, and it's like the faggotry on display is incredible.
Thank you.
But there is, I'm just curious if you've had any like difficult conversations or kind of negative feedback from communities about the work.
The first time I showed the work was the mummer stuff was my MFA show, and that family member spent most of the show in the back crying. And so that was really rough, traumatic. Thankfully, they've come around to it, and I think it's just like through the response that people have had to it, it's just like, I think was like fear and worrying. And even like towards the end of that show, like they did come out, and it was like much better. But yeah, I think that's been the most like personal of that. But it's funny, The funniest feedback I received, I think, was I got an email one time. I had like a CBC article about the queer mummer, and it was the person admitted it was a straight old man, and they said in the email, he's like, I don't like how you use the word queer. Like, I'm not supposed to use the word queer. And I'm like, I didn't respond to it. I was just like, I think like you might be like showing the point here or something of the exhibition. So that's mostly been it. Thankfully, it's been like vast majority positive. That's the experiences so far, I'd say. Yeah, I've been shielded from any of the bad stuff, I think.
Thank you.
Have you ever had besides your bad profs, any experiences like that?
There was one that I know of because I had a big solo show at the Rooms with all my war stuff.
Yeah.
Rooms and rooms full of all this camouflage. And all the armed forces people that I've had any relationships with or met were all really supportive of my work and understand what I do. But this one armed forces soldier complained that I was, and he had a point, that I was ripping up and cutting up uniforms. And that is kind of a blasphemy, which I now recognize but didn't at the time. And I wrote back to him. It was the curator that passed it along, because Bruce Johnson, he thought the artist would be better to explain it than him, which I'm grateful for. And I wrote back to him and made it very clear that I support the Canadian military. I might not be able to say that in any other country, but in Canada, it's really easy to support the military here because we have a good military, in my opinion. So I wrote that back and I said, I cut up, yes, I did cut up uniforms, but I sewed them back together as an act of reparation, an act of healing, and kind of like quilts, and that what I was doing was sewing camouflage pieces, patterns from different countries together, sometimes even putting traditional enemies together in one piece. And so I really thought about it and wrote this good email to him, and he didn't write back, so I'm just crossed my fingers hoping that he understood. But it was a case of me being grateful, because otherwise he might have just gone away thinking that I was a different person than I tried to be.
Any other questions from the audience?
Anyone else?
Oh, there.
Hello. Okay. That's really weird to hear your voice through. Not the point. This question is kind of random and out of nowhere, but I'm really just wondering if you have a favorite wrestler, and if you do, who is it and
Right.
why?
I was hoping for this question. So currently it's Chelsea Green, who's wrestling right now. She is the AAA mixed tag team champion, and then the U.S. Women's World Champion. Canadian from Victoria. Hilarious. So like takes the shit out of wrestling, which is always great. But also like an amazing wrestler. She can do like my favorite move, which is the Canadian Destroyer. Just like this like flippy thing, and the person ends up like landing like in the person's crotch, but like head hitting the ground. It's really intense, but apparently easy to do. Don't try it at home. But yeah, Chelsea Green. I love women's wrestling, especially like Joshi Pro Wrestling, which is like the Japanese pro wrestling. Like women's wrestling is absolutely bonkers, like violent, but also like very skilled. And that's really helped uplift women's wrestling like around the world. And so, I mean, like Io Sky is also someone I really love. Julia. I mean, Rhea Ripley is like everyone's favorite. Everyone like got back into wrestling because of Rhea Ripley. Yeah, and like growing up, I would say like Undertaker was like my favorite probably. Yeah.
Undertaker.
Yeah. I have a big appreciation now for Big Papa Pump. Yeah.
Great names.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite wrestler, Barb?
No, sorry, I don't. You
should just
You're my
like
favorite.
Andre the Giant, Macho Man, Randy Savage.
So we just have a couple more minutes. Any burning questions from the audience? Otherwise, maybe I'll let Barb ask Lucas one more question. Oh,
No.
got another question here.
Good, you're off the hook.
You're going to ask me those questions later anyway.
Tomorrow.
So one of the things that was mentioned downstairs that wasn't addressed in this conversation that you guys have had is your use of the color pink in the space. And I was wondering if you could elaborate more on that.
Yeah, so it kind of dates back to the first time I showed the exhibition. I happened to ask the gallery if I could paint the walls a different color than white, and they said yes. And so I just started doing some research into different colors in sports. So the specific color that I'm using, it's based off of Baker Miller pink, which is also known as junk tank pink. There was a bunch of studies done that they believe that this color could lower your heart rate and calm you down. It does a bit of the opposite sometimes if you're there in front of it too long. But it was used in like asylums and drunk tanks, which is where the name comes from. But there would also be some sports teams. You don't really see it in many like NHL or national teams, but you know, college teams and things like that. They would paint the away team's locker room this color. And it was a way to give the home team like this unfair advantage, right? So it sort of points at how winning is so important within professional sports culture versus, you know, sports as game, that people are willing to like cheat over it, right? And we see these scandals pop up all the time. Like there's like gambling scandals, like there's the big one in the NBA right now. So all of these sort of things come around, like either money or just like the idea of, yeah, we're winning, right? So that's where the pink came from.
I read somewhere that Russian fighters would wear pink gloves because it would weaken the other fighter. And so they made this rule that boxers couldn't wear pink gloves. Yeah. So whether it works or not, I don't know. But at Marymount, I worked at Marymount School for a couple of years, and the timeout room there was painted the same pink. Baker Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the girls would be fine for about 20 minutes, and then they would go nuts. So don't paint your dining room or your living room that color.
So some exhibitions, it's just like an accent wall. Some exhibitions, it's the full gallery.
Immersed?
Yeah, it's intense. Like, the exhibition looks amazing in it, but it's also just like, whoa. It's a lot.
You can see it from all the way down
Yeah,
the hall. Here.
it's glowing. Great. Yeah, like if you go into an exhibition where it's the whole space, the space is glowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to ask a last question? Any other last questions from the audience? Oh yeah. Oh, a few now. Yeah. Oh no, we're gonna take it though. Yeah. Oh. It sounded like it was on. Just speak a little louder. Oh, I think it's off.
Testing?
Yeah.
Testing? Oh, there we go. So in one of our classes, one of my colleagues was talking about, in reference to, I think it was Killjoy's Castle, but using like archival spaces as like sites of therapy, like archival therapy. And I've been thinking about that quite a bit since, but I was wondering if you experienced like any complex emotions of like re-experiencing histories when you're making your work here, and also was there any like re-experiencing of histories or any modes of like therapy, if that makes sense?
I think definitely the newest project I'm working on definitely has like, especially because I'm doing a lot of research into like my family's history into wrestling. There is definitely more of like an emotional impact to it. I've talked to my dad a lot about different things. I'll like pass him an article, say like, hey, is this like right or whatever, and he'll correct things or whatever. So it's quite nice to have to be working on a project that is archival in a sense. Like I'm doing like a complex research into like historical things, but then like they're directly related to my family, even though they're also like the way they're written, it's promoting wrestling. So it's not something that you would like usually get emotional over, but you're like, oh yeah, here's an article from the 1949 about my grandfather wrestling a guy in a gorilla suit. Like, this sounds like, why am I getting emotional over this? I don't know. But this is the first lead that I found of him like being written about, for example. And like we learned of like, oh, apparently like he may have changed his wrestling name at one point because there was another Jack Marshall. So he went by, I think, Johnny Marshall after that. And yeah, my family's wrestling name, our kayfabe name, is Marshall. So it's funny to like learn like different family histories through that. So this new project's definitely had a nice like emotional aspect to it. The hockey one was more or less like, I mean, I have family members who played in like the Newfoundland Hockey Leagues, like the historical ones, and there is a journal. My mom has 2 journals from my great grandfather, and every day he would write down the weather and like what happened, and often he would write hockey scores. And during this time, my Uncle George was playing for, I think, the Seabees, which is the Conception Bay South Seabees. And yeah, they had like written about, oh, George was playing against the Royals, blah, blah, blah. So that was like the fun part of that aspect of that project. And I was actually like reading from those journals originally in the BFA program. I had thought about doing a project with them, but I abandoned it. And it's funny to see how that research sort of influenced other projects. Yeah. And apparently it's not a question, but
one last question, comment.
So thanks so much. I mean, the work is wonderful, and the way you articulate it is wonderful. And in terms of history and wrestling, my grandmother in the early stages of dementia, and this was a woman who was a refugee from then Russia, now Ukraine, and German was her first, Russian was her first, maybe first two languages, English was not. And as she moved into dementia, she loved wrestling. Because even though the world around her was getting kind of shaky, but she knew exactly who was right and who was wrong, who was good and who was bad. And she would get so incensed and so involved with this fight of good and evil. And she had gone through the Second World War. She was an orphan after the First World War. She saw the starvation in Ukraine as a childcare worker. Skeletal women would drop off their children where she worked. So this, to me, was a tremendous expression of all of this history coming out in a way that she could actually enjoy. I mean, so thank you, and thank wrestling, and thank you for what you're doing about wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling is just, it's really starting to have this like comeback. I like to say it's a lot like drag, where it has these ebbs and flows of history of like popularity. So, wrestling was really popular in the 80s and 90s, and once the like ruthless like Russian era sort of went away, it went into this like PG era. And this is usually around, this was around the time that Chris Benoit murdered his family and committed suicide due to CTE. And so you had this ebb and flow of that. Same time with drag. Drag was, kind of popular in the 80s and 90s, 2000s dies out, and then sort of blows up because of RuPaul's Drag Race. So it's interesting to see throughout history, like these things have like their popularities come back and go away. And as someone who kind of experienced that popularity beforehand, coming back to wrestling was like really fun. And especially like being in that position of like the magic of a child thinking it's real versus an adult watching it for the storytelling and watching it for like your favorite wrestler to turn heel, and like that person who you thought was always good is now evil. Like there's a lot of fun things that happen in wrestling that it's not really serious, but I think a lot of people enjoy it because of that. Yeah.
Well, I know we could keep talking for probably quite a bit longer, but our official time is up. So maybe Barb and Lucas, you can stick around if people want to come to the front and ask a few questions, have a bit more conversation. Also, please join us for the official opening reception. It's going to be a come and go between 4 and 6 p.m. Yeah, it'll be a fun time. We'll have some gluten-free vegan refreshments and see the work in person. I just noticed Jamie left, so he is going down to the gallery to reopen the doors if you want to just pop down and you need to leave and just quickly do a quick run through of the show while you can. But again, the exhibition is going to be up until the end of January, so plenty of time to see the show. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Lucas and Barb.